Good morning. Feels like afternoon already. I call this meeting of the Michigan Public Service Commission to order on November 21st at 10:35 a.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Talbert,
Present?
Commissioner Sari,
Present.
Commissioner Eubanks.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And this, just as a reminder, is the second time that we'll be live streaming the commission meeting, so we're all on camera. And we had a little glitch, so we had to start the meeting just a few minutes late. Appreciate your patience. First up, we have on the agenda approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
Madam Chair, move approval of the agenda for today's commission meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting, or the agenda is approved. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the November 8th, 2018 commission meeting.
Madam Chair, move approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting of November 8th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting minutes are approved. Next up, item 3, approval of orders on the consent agenda. And today the commission is assisted by Caitlin Buchanan and staff.
Good morning. Today's consent agenda consists of 2 communications matters and 3 electric matters that are listed on item 3 of today's agenda. The proposed orders for each of these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staffs and are ready for your approval.
Madam Chair, move approval of all orders on today's consent agenda.
Second the approval of all orders on the consent agenda.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The orders are approved.
Item 4A1 is case number U18474, which involves a complaint filed by Susan Rock against DTE Energy Company. The order before you dismisses the complaint and requires DTE Energy Company to revise its shutoff notice and file the revised notice with Commission staff.
Madam Chair, move approval of order U18474.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved.
Item 4A2 is case number U20147, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket for certain regulated electric utilities to file their 5-year distribution, investment, and maintenance plans, and for other related uncontested matters. Staff member Pat Hudson is here to describe this order.
Good morning. Not afternoon. Over the last 2 years, the Commission staff has worked with the state's 3 largest investor-owned utilities and interested stakeholders to develop a long-term distribution planning process that was both open and transparent. With guidance from the Commission, staff has worked alongside DTE Electric and Consumers Energy to craft their first iteration of 5-year distribution system investment and maintenance plans. The objective of these plans was to provide the Commission and interested stakeholders a better opportunity to understand the current state of the utility's electric distribution infrastructure, the anticipated investment needs, and prioritization of work in the coming years, and how advanced and emerging technology were impacting the distribution planning process. Specifically, the Commission sought greater clarity in the first iteration of the distribution plans on the role of aging infrastructure and vegetation played on system safety, reliability, resiliency, and the steps the utilities were taking to address these concerns. This is kind of chronological, so the next step is after filing these plans. So both DTE Electric and Consumers Energy filed these plans. The Commission sought comments from interested stakeholders on how the information can help inform rate making and other regulatory processes, including consideration of performance-based metrics. These comments provided staff useful insights into the end-user expectations for the modern electric distribution system. Staff reviewed these comments and identified gaps in utility plans and customer expectations for discussion at the Distribution Planning Technical Conference that was held on August 7th of this year. Based on the review of the plans, stakeholder comments, industry best practices, and technical conference discussions, staff developed and submitted a proposed framework for future iterations of 5-year distribution investment and maintenance plans in September of this year. This document provided numerous recommendations for additional plan content and system data to be included in future plans to provide greater transparency and information sharing to help facilitate improved regulatory processes and stakeholder and customer engagement in Michigan's energy future. The order before you outlines the Commission's response to staff's proposed framework and the recommendations contained within. The order recognizes the importance of having a comprehensive, open, and transparent distribution plan to aid the regulatory process. The order also recognizes that as the Commission, utilities, and stakeholders engage in the development of the next iteration of plans, it is important to have discussions around the longer-term vision for the grid architecture and performance expectations. Many of these discussions are currently ongoing at the Commission, and given the pace of change and complexity of these issues, there is a sense of urgency to address many interrelated issues in an integrated fashion. These issues include, first, successful navigating the rapidly evolving energy landscape, and secondly, ensuring reliability and resiliency with mitigation of security threats. Third, facilitating fair and timely access to the grid by third parties. Fourth, integrating new energy technologies. And lastly, ensuring affordable utility bills and accurate price signals. The order also recognizes potential need for innovations in the business models of utilities and regulatory approaches to ensure a no-regrets energy future for Michigan residents. And finally, the order allows those interested in commenting on Indiana-Michigan Power Company's draft 5-year distribution investment and maintenance plan may do so. Initial comments must be filed in the U-20147 docket, this docket, no later than 5 p.m. on December 21st, 2018, with reply comments to be filed no later than 5 p.m. on January 11th, 2019.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Order U-20184.
Second.
And Commissioner Sari and I both have comments, so we'll start with you, Commissioner Sari.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 5-year electric distribution plan order being issued today is the product of an in-depth discussion with multiple stakeholders over the past couple of months to examine the condition of the century-old electric infrastructure in Michigan. The study took a comprehensive look at the electric system and was not meant to be a reaction to recent storm outages or an isolated view of future distribution ideas that could and should make its way into the Michigan distribution grid. The study highlighted the advancement in technology and how investments are important for both the repair and upgrade of the existing system and the need to implement new hardware and IT programs to plan for future reliability and growth. But this commission does not want to focus only on non-wire alternatives, vegetation management, pole top hardening, and other components and software systems. It is absolutely critical and paramount beyond debate that the utilities must not lose sight of the importance of safety programs for both workers and the public. There have been fatalities and injuries in this state over the past 2 years that were caused by unfortunate events on the electric distribution system. There must be an electric distribution system #1 goal for this year, next year, and future years that worker training and public education emphasize that safety programs will be enhanced and never compromised. The Commission wants to make the message very clear that safety is paramount and the first consideration in constructing, maintaining, and operating an efficient electric distribution system. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Just one point of...
But Madam Chair, I recognize that we are discussing Order U-20147.
Yep.
That's what's been moved.
Great. All right. So, first of all, thank you for the presentation, Patrick. Distribution planning and infrastructure modernization have been an important priority that the Commission put forward to Governor Snyder a couple years ago. And this stems from his policy objectives early on in his administration, focused on improving reliability and specifically reducing the frequency and duration of power outages. But as Commissioner Sari noted, there's also a huge safety element to all of this and implications. The type of planning that has been underway over the last couple of years is absolutely necessary to make informed decisions about our electrical infrastructure, ensure safe, reliable service, and to integrate new technologies. No doubt our aging infrastructure needs upgrades, and this planning helps us prioritize our investments and evaluate options to best serve customers. There's been tremendous work. I want to acknowledge the commitment by the utilities through this collaborative process, the staff, and also a number of stakeholders for their input and all along the way. It isn't just about the written plans, which are extensive, and I view them on a regular occasion, but it's actually the discussions that go along with the planning that lead to a better understanding and decisions in the end. In our order today, we're acknowledging how the energy industry continues to evolve and how the planning also needs to evolve alongside it. We're not taking a prescriptive command and control approach, but rather we're encouraging a number of enhancements in this next round of planning to incorporate new concepts and pilots such as non-wires alternatives. The importance of the design and implementation of the information technology infrastructure is also noted by the Commission. This is both a significant opportunity, but also a risk for ratepayers in terms of the costs and successful integration of technologies. Ryan LaRue spearheaded this effort for the MPSC staff. He's taking a new role in the Commission office and Jill Rusnick's team with strategic operations as a policy and technical advisor to the Commission. He cares nothing more about he cares about distribution so much, but deer hunting is first and foremost. So he was unable to be here today to present on this order. But I also want to acknowledge your role, Patrick, all along this process. You have been a great thinking partner to Ryan and to the staff at large and also the Commission. You've been instrumental in staying abreast of developments in other states and best practices and really thinking about how to best apply them here in Michigan. And also, I think your contribution to working and developing the stakeholder involvement in this process has been really critical. I think back to the workshop with Advanced Energy Economy and your work to make that successful in the planning. So thank you very much for your effort. Also to Ryan, I think he owes you some venison when he gets back. With that, any further? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order's approved.
Item 4A3 is case number U20184, which involves the application of Upper Peninsula Power Company for determination of its Credit B base rate credits resulting from the Federal Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Item 4B1 is case number U20287, which involves an application by Consumers Energy Company for a determination of its Credit B for natural gas service resulting from the Federal Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Staff member Dave Isaacson is here to describe these orders.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 has kept the Commission busy this year. Throughout the summer, the Commission has approved $380 million in rate decreases for Michigan customers. Those reductions were delivered through Credit A, which represented the tax cuts going forward effects on rates. Next, to date, the Commission has approved an additional $32.6 million in Credit B refunds. Credit B accounts for the historic tax effects between January 1st, 2018 and the approval of Credit A refunds this summer. Today, the Commission is voting for approval of 2 more Credit B applications from Consumers Energy and Upper Peninsula Power Company. Today's order refunds $1.7 million to UPCO customers and $30 million to Consumers Energy gas customers, and will go into effect in December. This nearly doubles the total refunds authorized for Credit B. To date, a total of $64 million will begin to return to customers through Credit B, and mostly during the heating season. In coming months, expect Credit B refunds from Michigan's large electric utilities, Consumers Electric, DTE Electric, and Indiana Michigan Power. Following credit B will be calculation C, which will encompass the long-term or technical accounting effects of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's all. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move approval of orders U20184 and U20287.
Second.
And Commissioner Eubanks.
Yes, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks, Dave, for that great summary. Today, we are continuing the second edition of our three-part series on the Commission's federal tax change-related proceedings. As Dave, as you pointed out, today's orders provide $30 million one-time savings for DTE Gas's customers and nearly $1.7 million in one-time savings to Upper Peninsula Power Company's customers. 9 utilities have now completed their Credit B proceedings, with Consumers Electric, DTE Electric, and Indiana Michigan Power still to come. This is in addition to the nearly $380 million in ongoing Credit A refunds already in place. Credit B represents the savings due to customers from when the federal tax law effective date of January 1 to when the Credit A rates were set in place. This would not have been possible without the proactive thinking and quick work by staff beginning in December of last year to track developments on Capitol Hill and design an approach to apply regulatory accounting treatment to all tax change related impacts even before the new tax law took effect. Because of our actions, customers will get every dollar of savings possible. I appreciate the continued expedient treatment of all TCJA related proceedings by staff, utilities, and stakeholders. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. So we'll take these up, just to be clear, for voting separately. So item 4A3, docket U20184 et al. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved. And next, item 4B1, docket U20287. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved. Is that right, Caitlin?
Yes.
Got it? Okay.
Item 4A4 is case number U20300, which involves an application by Alpena Power Company for a waiver of certain filing requirements for its Integrated Resource Plan, or IRP, to be filed pursuant to Section 6T of Public Act 341 of 2016. The order before you approves a waiver of all of the IRP filing requirements set forth in Exhibit A of the December 20th, 2017 order in case number U18461, with the exception of those filing requirements set forth in the order.
Madam Chair, move approval of order U20300.
Second.
And just really briefly on this point, I think this stems from the legislature's wise approach in crafting the new requirements for integrated resource planning to acknowledge that multi-state utilities that are maybe doing planning in other jurisdictions, as well as very small utilities such as Alpena without any of its own generation, may be differently situated, and so it gave the Commission the tools to provide some flexibility in terms of how we apply the planning requirements. So we look forward to Alpena's plan and appreciate the staff's work on this and submitting comments in support of this waiver. And with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved.
Item 4A5 is case number U20348, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to address outstanding demand response aggregation issues and the participation of alternative electric suppliers in regional transmission organization wholesale markets. Staff member Heather Canton is here to describe this order.
Good morning.
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 Demand response has been an ongoing topic before this Commission for some time. So what is demand response? Demand response provides an opportunity for customers to play a significant role in the operation of the electric grid by reducing or shifting their electricity usage during peak periods in response to time-based rates or other forms of financial incentives. These programs incentivize customers to shift electric consumption from times when demand is high to times when demand is lower. In case number U18369, the Commission established a framework for review and approval of utility demand response programs and affirmed that alternative electric suppliers may offer demand response programs to their customers through entities that assist retail customers with the strategies or technology to reduce their electric usage. These are commonly known as third-party aggregators, as long as the supplier is the entity that bids the demand response into the wholesale market. This determination was made in the context of finding that the Commission will continue to review demand response programs offered by suppliers as part of the capacity demonstration process required by Section 6W of Public Act 341. Additionally, in case number U18197, the Commission further clarified that under certain circumstances, a supplier can use demand response capacity resources from another supplier's customers to meet its forward capacity demonstration obligations. In other words, the Commission authorized third-party aggregation for customers being served by alternative electric suppliers, essentially allowing third-party entities to combine load reductions of multiple customers into one resource and then bid that group resource into the wholesale market. This comes at a time when many other jurisdictions currently ban demand response aggregation. Today, with this order, the Commission seeks to examine any outstanding issues associated with the demand response aggregation program for customers who are served by suppliers. The Commission directs the Commission staff to work with aggregators, alternative electric suppliers, customers of alternative electric suppliers, regulated utilities, MISO, and other stakeholders on issues related to whether the ability to aggregate demand response for customers of Michigan alternative electric suppliers for bidding into wholesale markets should be limited to suppliers only, how to adequately track demand response resources being used for capacity demonstration purposes, the appropriate treatment of aggregated demand response outside the capacity demonstration framework that may affect capacity requirement allocations to load-serving entities, any appropriate reporting requirements related to demand response and aggregation, and whether the capacity demonstration filing requirements need revision. As directed by this order, staff will examine the status of demand response aggregation in Michigan over the 2017-2019 time period to identify any barriers or other issues that the Commission may want to address. Staff must file a report in this docket detailing its findings and recommendations no later than May 30th of next year. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Order U20348.
Second.
And before we take a vote on that, I just have a few comments. You know, a topic is complicated when you have to draw pictures, at least for me. And I appreciate your leadership, Heather, on this issue and navigating them with the stakeholders and working with other staff where it really cuts across a number of areas of expertise. I would say that demand response holds great promise in terms of trying to meet our goals for affordable, reliable electricity. This potential was documented through numerous studies, including those conducted by the Commission in 2017, as directed by the 2016 energy laws. As power plants retire, we have the opportunity through successfully designed demand response to avoid the need for expensive like-for-like replacement of surplus generating capacity. Customers participating in these programs can be critical in helping to meet our electricity needs on our how to stay, as you were pointing out. Many states in the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator ban third-party aggregators from enrolling end-use customers, such as grocery stores or manufacturing facilities, in demand response programs and then bidding that resource directly into the wholesale market. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and the federal courts have concluded that such a ban is within the purview of states, although FERC has taken a different approach with respect to the role of states for aggregation of resources such as energy efficiency and energy storage. So the landscape is continuing to evolve at the federal level and the interplay between state and federal jurisdiction. In Michigan, we left in place a ban on demand response aggregation for regulated utilities, in part because of some of the tracking complexities and the fact that the utilities were actively expanding their own programs and building out their portfolios. Last year, we clarified, however, that demand response aggregation is permitted for customers served by alternative energy suppliers under Michigan's Retail Choice program. This type of aggregation provides the opportunity for customers and their suppliers to benefit from the use of demand response. It's low cost. It can be a fast way also to meet Michigan's new capacity requirements pursuant to the 2016 energy laws. Now that we've been through one cycle of the capacity demonstration process, additional questions related to demand response aggregation have arisen, and based on discussions with staff, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, and market participants, it appears that further discussions are warranted. So we appreciate that and stand ready to expand or clarify prior orders as needed. And we look forward to your discussions and also recommendations. I would also observe that there were discussions at recent panels by the Energy Bar Association and the Organization of MISO States about how cooperative federalism should be used to resolve these types of issues as opposed to protracted litigation over state and federal authority. I agree wholeheartedly with this concept of cooperative federalism and think our coordination with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and the regional transmission organizations on this issue in particular, as well as the various stakeholders, will best achieve our goals for reliable, affordable electricity service. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved. All right. Next up, we have item 5, public comment. Just a reminder that we are on video and it's being live streamed and recorded on the internet. Anyone seeking to address the commission, please come forward. I do have one card from Charles Stodursky. Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Here this morning to request, or at least ask, that going forward with Consumers Energy, in regards to Consumers Energy, that we that are not giving them any rate increases until they can demonstrate a better safety program. Thunder's already been stolen, but I have safety concerns with the company, and I've had them come out and look at issues, and they've pretty much told me I could pay to take care of them, which I will if they don't want to address it and take care of it themselves. I just think they need to demonstrate a much better safety program in regards to the general public and their employees. That's pretty much my thunder. If you have any questions.
Thank you. I just have a clarifying question. Are you referring to the electric business or
electric
consumers?
service overhead wires coming into the house are tangled in a tree, and they did come out and removed a few branches and assured me that the tree is healthy, which I agree. We're not going to argue that point. But when you get an inch of ice on top of that from an ice storm, when 2/3 of the branches are above the wires, that line's coming down, and so is the pole right next to it. So
We have staff here that if you're willing to talk to them after this meeting and give them a little bit more detail, we'd like to follow up on your concerns.
Thank you.
I want to reference an incident very similar with DTE. It involved a neighbor in the at the previous location where I lived, and 2 days later, supervisor come out. 2 weeks later, the tree was gone. So DTE is setting the bar.
We appreciate your input, and we'll, if you're interested, we can connect you with staff in our electric operations group.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've already talked to him. You know, I will take the tree down. It's not a matter of $1,500. It's a matter of general public safety.
Thank you.
Your comments are very timely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Our next commission meeting is Thursday, December 6th at 1:30 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned.